Okay, so I want to welcome everybody to our Marketing 101 session. Today, we're going to be trying to help everybody understand marketing, mainly digital marketing, because there's many forms. I myself am an optometrist and I love eyeballs, but I do have a hard time understanding marketing and bringing it into my practice. So I thought it was a great time to discuss it, especially because all of us right now have been closed down for a few months, and we're looking for new members, new patients to come in, and new ways to let people know what our brand is, who we are. So I went ahead and I invited a few people to talk to us about marketing in our practice. I love little putting dog pictures and people pictures, and I think that's important when we are marketing to others, that we make it personal and something that people are gonna really look at. And I think dogs are cute to look at. Maybe somebody else might like different things. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in a nutshell. So different areas of digital marketing are SEO, search engines like Google Ads and pay-per-click. We're going to have Gina Pelaez from Journey Love Media, who's going to be talking about content marketing, blogs, and email marketing. And then we're going to have Charlene dive into online social media. There's also reputation management, but we're going to not discuss that as much today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the floor to Gina from Journey Love Management. Gina, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to present to the Chiasm and the optometrists in the network. So I know that there's a couple of faces that I know here, but I don't know everyone, so I'll just say a broad hello. My name is Gina Pelaez, but I go by Gina CP. So if you have a moment to look me up on LinkedIn, or I'm not sure if Gianni will be emailing an asset, but if she emails an asset, I'll make sure to include my direct access to my LinkedIn there, and that's LinkedIn Gina CP. Pretty easy to remember. So I don't know, did Johnny leave? I need the next slide so I don't have people bored here. So talking about digital marketing versus social media management. Oftentimes people think it's one or the other, or that both things are the same. The key ingredient to remember, the key element to remember when we're talking about digital marketing is that social media management is a component of digital marketing. When we talk about digital marketing in any space, particularly in small businesses, you have to really focus on what's the biggest bang for your buck. But it's important to remember that in a comprehensive plan, you need to have everything working across the line. So if you only work in one facet, let's say social media marketing, you're not necessarily creating a funnel to generate those sales leads. When we discuss digital marketing, there are several components. And in the several components, we include internet marketing. We include non-internet or digital channels without internet access, like radio and TV. And then also social media. Social media encompasses Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Sometimes YouTube is included in that, but depending on the content that's presented. In internet marketing, you are talking about the pay-per-clicks. You're talking about smartphones, mobile phones, SMS, texting. So it's every asset that's incorporated together that makes the digital marketing blanket, if you will. And social media is just one small component of that. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. We're good. Johnny's leading the slideshows for me, so discussing social media and newsletters and how they correlate. And that's just taking one very small portion of the big picture that is digital marketing to give you an idea of how it is that different components work together. Social media gets people's attention. It's an easy grab, it's cheap. Most people that own small businesses have somebody in-house that can do some sort of social media management. The problem there is that the content isn't always curated correctly or created correctly. Originally, when social media marketing started, the idea was curating content, which was creating slides, quotes that captivate, product pictures. But since social media has progressed in its offering, the platforms are requiring more interactive media. And when I say media, I mean active media versus static posts. A static post is something like a quote, where active and interactive media is a video clip. And so using somebody in-house to do social media management becomes a little bit of a predicament, because it involves quite a bit of creativity and content development. Okay, but social media is an easy way to remind people that you're there. So think of social media in the static, cheapest form, where you're talking about posts, quotes, product pictures, like an ad in the yellow pages, okay, or like a bench advertisement, where you just drive by and people are reminded, oh yes, you know, the chiasm exists. Okay, that doesn't necessarily turn a customer, because you don't know who's looking. You don't know how to access that person. You just know that you're getting clicks and likes. And even though you can break into the likes to see who is liking, it's very difficult to cold call, if you will, or DM somebody straight from your social media posts. So that's where newsletters come in. And newsletters is a warmer lead, where when clients come in and they already know your services, or you're providing something a little bit more interactive or informative, they get to opt in. The opt-in is determining the level of trust that that client has with your company. When they opt in to subscribe to your newsletters, they're saying, I trust you, I want information from you. So they're giving you permission to sell. Where in social media, by following you, you're giving them permission. They're giving you permission to entertain them, or, you know, show them content, but that doesn't necessarily create the funnel that we want to convert customers. It works, and it's an important component in the entirety of digital media, but it's just one small cog. And I think that a lot of times when we address small business issues in terms of marketing, people want the cheapest conversion. And there's so many small components and so many different companies that offer each one of those components in a funnel, if you will, like its own, I'm looking for the word. Yeah. It's like independent. So you'll go to a company and somebody says, I could do Google AdWords for you. I could do SMS for you. I could do newsletter creation for you. But then you have all these separate companies working separately, and your company is one. So it's important to remember that when you create a digital marketing plan, that you are creating very much so a marketing plan that needs to encompass your mission and vision. Okay, so it needs to be cohesive in whatever aspects you choose to spend your money in. So Johnny asked me to discuss newsletters today because she's a user of newsletters, and it works very well in the network environment. So the chiasm benefits from something like a newsletter, and it's easy to correlate information like like content development in, say, a YouTube channel. And all those components can live under the newsletter environment. If you have an initiative that's social media related, you could send that to your clients and then send them to the social media channels. So the newsletter for me is kind of like that big blanket for the biggest bang for your buck, because, I mean, ideally a commercial is great, but commercials are expensive. So Johnny, thank you. 7 newsletter benefits. And really, to go over this quickly, it's really about making it simple, making it memorable, making it inviting, and making it fun to read. The important thing is that it's a small snippet, right? It's not a full article. And I think, Johnny, you're going to provide these slides as an asset to your, okay. So you're going to catch them while they're reading. So like I said, they've given you permission to give them information. We're calling it to sell, but initially that's really the end goal, right? So they're in their inbox. They said okay to you. You're now there, and you have to customize the content to your customer. So you know that they use you for eye care. You need to make sure that you're providing them information that relates to their eye care needs, not just selling them something. So it's great to think that you could send them a promo, but a promo is easily deleted. Where in a newsletter, you could be offering them information like the setbacks of working on a computer and how blue blockers work really well to facilitate the strain on the eye or minimize the strain on the eye. And then in a week or two, you send an email blast to follow up that blue blocker newsletter and you send a promo, hey, by the way, it just happened to be that we're now offering 30% off our blue blockers, or we're doing a contest on Instagram where you could win a free pair of blue blockers. And so that newsletter gives them information without selling them anything, but leads them to the next initiative or the next part of the funnel. You're able to also track interest. So newsletters create analytics, and you're able to see at what time people open the emails, what parts they read, where they click. So we add assets such as a YouTube channel, a social media campaign, and we get clicks based off of where we send them. So we know exactly where they're going. So does this particular client like to watch YouTube channels? Do they prefer to go to Facebook? And so those analytics are created through the newsletter factor. That goes into metrics. I think that was point 4 and 5. It expands your reach because newsletters are very easily forwardable. And it's not as invasive as a social media asset. It's great to think that people are going to share your posts from social media, like your great quotes work really well on social media, but like a product picture. Like you think these glasses are beautiful. This girl's really cute wearing them. Somebody's going to forward this to somebody else. Social media is very personal. And so it's not likely that somebody's going to forward that information or that post to somebody else. But when you provide a customized newsletter with relevant information, it is forwardable in that, imagine if I get a blue blocker for kids article and I find out about, oh my gosh, all these kids doing distance learning are now exposed to dry eye, or Johnny, what's the term for, what happens with blue blockers? I'm sorry.
Usually it helps them with the hazardous wavelengths and also fatigue. And
eye fatigue.
During this whole pandemic, what is crazy, everything has gone virtual, and us as optometrists, we have that opportunity to remember the importance of virtual reach with our patients. But one thing that I think is really, really great is that we have that other companies might not have is we have a patient database, an email list that we could create every time the patient comes in to be able to send this newsletter.
Right. And so going to, and then in that newsletter, like in the database, that database is easily shareable. So now I'm at home and I get a newsletter from Eye Candy talking about how our kids are now exposed to eye fatigue because of the extended amount of time that they have with blue light and on electronics. So I find it to be really relevant, and I forward it to all my girlfriends that have kids, and I'm like, hey, by the way, did you know that our kids are now experiencing eye fatigue? And so I'm forwarding something that's informative. Geez, I need coffee. Informative, but is not imposing like somebody would if you were to share something that's a social media asset, right? And let me know if anybody has any questions about the difference there. And then the added bonus, which is interesting and a little bit tricky, is to sell sponsorships for your newsletters. And that's already when you grow a big enough newsletter following and you have like a product line, let's say Ray-Ban comes in and they have some sort of onboarding, or they have some sort of special that they want to offer your private practice. And so you say, hey, by the way, I have a newsletter that goes out to 3,000 people. Would you like to post a little something on there? And then let's say you have them pay $500 to $1,000 for that little added advertisement. And they're like, why not? And so now you're adding revenue aside from expanding your reach.
Well, one thing that I love about newsletters is that we only get to see our patients 1 year if they're a really good patient, maybe 3 years. But what happens is we have such a short time to talk to our patient that these newsletters give us the opportunity to be educating our patient that on things that we might be able to offer that they didn't bring up during their visit, and that might prompt them to say, wow, maybe I should go back and ask about the blue blockers, or you know what, I didn't know they had this technology there. And they might say, well, let me go, or maybe this technology is not for me, but it may be great for my child. So it kind of just keeps promoting your business throughout the years. It's just like planting a little seed or reminder. So that's why I love this newsletter, and the way you broke that down was really, really great.
Thank you.
By the way,
I think it's important to know that a lot of times in marketing, people think that that you're selling, and that's what your sales department is for. That's what your opticians are for. They sell. Marketing is about communicating with your clients. So it's creative communication, and it's providing them value that builds trust, so that way we go back to the old ways of patient referral basis, which we know as small business owners that that's really where the bread and butter is, right?
Right.
When you have a patient come in and love what you do, and then they tell 5 other people, that's what we're able to live off of, and that's what builds a legacy in a business. Where social media is just kind of like, it's great, you get some likes, people are seeing you, but that's not necessarily in terms of conversion. So bringing it back to like the basics, in terms of getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to a digital media or a digital marketing initiative, a newsletter allows for different components and definitely allows you to customize the content for your client and build that trust.
I'm going to let everybody know that I'm going to open up at the end at the session for answers and for questions and answers. And I'm sure people are going to want to ask maybe more about what type of content to post on their newsletters,
Okay.
or how to gear it towards their certain demographics. So we'll leave that for after. Let's go to your next slide.
That's just my development plans and the different things that I offer. And you could just send that to them in an email, because I don't want to use up anybody's precious after work time. And then was there anything after that? No. I thought I wanted to add another quirky quote, but I forgot to. So I'm done.
I know that someone's putting something in the chat, but on a Mac. Oh, wait. Oh, we do have a question. I figured it out. They're asking, is there any software or app for newsletter templates that you would recommend?
So there is, I like to use MailChimp for newsletter distribution. It makes it really easy, and it allows for, I think it's on the free plan, up to 2,000 emails that get distributed. There's also analytics, and you can they upcharge you for a premium package that then does more customized analytics and optimization in terms of like timing for the right time to send it out to your clients. And then for templates, I like Canva. Canva is a very easy template. I think they have a free version as well. I obviously pay for my Canva. And the premium version is excellent as well. It allows for video assets to go into your templates. Although I don't recommend that for newsletters because it's a little bit tricky. And Canva does convert into the use for MailChimp. So in other words, you can use Canva templates into MailChimp. I know that there's other mailing companies out there like MailerLite, but my preferred vendor is MailChimp just because it's what I'm comfortable with. It's very user-friendly. And it also allows for myself and my clients to log in and get really data-rich analytics. So I don't have to charge for the analytics. It's built into the product that I recommend. So, and then that kind of allows for me to give richer content development and focus on video production, which is really what's working right now, rather than sit there and plug in analytics for you.
And then I was going to ask you, do you have a different package for newsletters, or are they in these packages here?
So for newsletters, I do a newsletter, a monthly newsletter, and I don't often like to do just newsletters by themselves because then it's just like an article. And it doesn't really provide a social media strategy. So what I'm doing for the Chiasm is I'm offering a 3-hour conference, an online presence evaluation. So I go into your reviews, I go into your customer engagement, I go into like WebMD, Yelp, Google, and see what it is that people are saying about you. And then I provide you a customized digital plan and strategy that encompasses what you should be providing in terms of newsletter content, in terms of social media content, in terms of which places you should be. Like just recently I had a client that was on Twitter, and after our first comprehensive meeting or conference, we realized that their users aren't on Twitter. You know, Twitter is mostly politically charged and news related. Twitter is rarely the right place for an optometrist. And so it's very important to know where you should be and who it is that's looking at you and who it is that you want looking for you. And so I'm doing the Chiasm deal. The newsletter by itself, like I said, that's a little bit tricky because it would just require, like what I do for newsletters is right. So I do it for initial clients. Like once I give them the customized strategy plan, then I will do newsletters following. but I don't like to just go dry into the newsletter, because really then I would be writing articles that probably already exist out there for you
I
guys.
wanted to ask, how often should someone send out a newsletter?
I like to do once a month with a following news email blast every other week. So it's every 2 weeks, there should be some sort of asset in the inbox. Anything more than that, you're going to get a lot of unsubscribes, because it's too much. Like, people don't need to remember their optometrist that often. And the reason why I like twice a month, one newsletter and one email blast, is that way you're able to supplement the newsletter with an offer. So if you're doing Ortho-K deals, you're able to provide an Ortho-K deal that's not necessarily in the newsletter. So people can kind of delete the offers that they feel are spammy, but still read the newsletter that's informative. So then you give them the capability of allowing. And by the way, in MailChimp, you can also send an email blast. They have easy templates there as well.
I love the fact that you brought up the the evaluation of Yelp and let's say Yelp or any of those
WebMD, right?
Yes, because when you did mine, we realized that I wasn't on a lot of places, or my hours or my address was wrong. And now that everybody really, goes online and searches, it was so important during the pandemic that we took that time to fix all those. And we're still fixing some, because it takes time, especially just a little optometry note here. Make sure that whenever the insurance company sends you an email to update their directory, even if you haven't changed it, you have to confirm, because a lot of the vendors like VSP and iMed are taking that opportunity to take you off of the directory so that they could send patients to their stores versus your privately owned stores. So you have to make sure that you check that every time. So I'm going to go ahead and give the floor now. And thank you, Gina. I'm sure people
Thank you. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, look me up on LinkedIn at Gina CP. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you to the Chiasm for having me.
Our pleasure. So, Charlene, if you want to go ahead and take the floor.
Oh, thank you. And thank you. Gina, I am so amazed at how philosophically aligned we are. It was so great to hear another digital marketing expert really talk about their strategy and philosophy. And I was really pleasantly surprised that you totally set me up, because everything you said, I absolutely agree with.
I'm so glad. I had an idea of like what your slide presentation was going to be like, because Johnny sent it to me by mistake, like in an email, or maybe she meant to. And so I wanted to make sure to kind of like segue.
Blend in.
Yeah, and I think the first mistake that a lot of businesses make when they're addressing this is they're so overwhelmed by all of the moving pieces that they just don't even get started, because it's almost like this giant hole that they know they have to start digging, and the shovel is laying there, but they're like, no, absolutely not. I'll get to it another day. So I want to point out a couple of things you said that I quintessentially agree with. The first is a funnel. And I want to go into that a little bit, because you kind of set me up for the way we do things, which is all from science. And as eye doctors, I know that optometrists are very science driven. You're probably, I've never been to optometry school, but I would imagine a large portion of your curriculum was science based. And, all science things are different, but they boil down to a process. And digital marketing is just like the scientific process. It's trial and error. There are lots of hypotheses out there. Let's call the hypothesis the algorithm. We know if we go to Facebook or Instagram or any of these channels, there's a certain set of rules that we need to follow based on what we read all over certain blogs and things like that. But I've actually learned that you could do things a little different, things that other people wouldn't necessarily agree with, and still get a good result. So I want to definitely encourage everyone, and it's going to be a really odd thing to say, but Gina had great points. I'll hopefully have some points that you'll think are great as well. But the best thing you could ever do is just try something different, even if it's something that you've never heard of before, or, it can't hurt to try. Because the best thing about social media, organic social media, it is the best way to learn about your market. So let's go into that a little bit. Social media is so much more than just a place for you to connect. It is a way for you to develop your online presence. It is considered a listing. Certain mediums are going to make you more searchable, like YouTube, like Gina mentioned, as well as Pinterest. Those are actually, Pinterest is the most used search engine for images in the world, and YouTube is the most searched search engine for videos in the world. So even if your website isn't being found on Google, if you have a really good video and you really do a good job tagging it and it performs well, and with as eye doctors, there's so many unique videos that you could do that nobody would ever think to do. Like there's not too many YouTube stars talking about macular degeneration. So you could really have fun doing this and really make it easy to compete in the most competitive market just because of how amazing you are. The other thing I want to point out is I have a theory that over the last 10 years, digital marketing was very trigger based. And I think it was up until very recently because it became, these platforms became so oversaturated that if you think about it, if you're Facebook and you're Google, remember, they're running a business too. And every piece of content that goes onto that platform, it's a part of their business. So just like if somebody came into your business and put up a sign, right, and said, you know, I don't know, free hamburgers next door, like maybe you'd be excited that like, okay, somebody's talking about free hamburgers, my patients like that, I'll leave it up. But if they put something up there that just is completely irrelevant to you, nobody seems to like it, eventually you're going to start taking that stuff down. So that's why a lot of times you have to be very careful about the content you put up. Every piece of content you put up sends a signal to Facebook, Instagram, all these platforms on who you are as a brand. And the way they really determine who you are as a brand is based on engagement. So that's why they say when you're posting, don't put, you know, a bunch of posts up that aren't getting a lot of engagement. Doesn't mean you stop posting. It means you really have to look at why is it not getting engagement. So we're talking about social media platforms, which are best for your business. You have to first determine who's your target customer. And if you're a pediatric business, this may be practice rather, this may be that sports kids that play sports, or maybe it could be if you're a geriatric practice, you know, maybe you're not marketing to the patient, maybe you work with a lot of senior centers, maybe you're marketing to the people who care for them. So you want to make sure.
I'm going to just bring up one thing about that target, because I feel like, you know, we open practices and we go and we work for other people, and we think we know our target and our brand. And I think you hear a lot of times optometrist says, you ask them who's your target and who's your client. Well, everyone. And we talked about this, and I think that's a wrong response to have. I think that we need to, you know, when we do our challenge and we start our challenge, we really need to figure out who is our target market, who we're going to gear our social media and our marketing to, at least throughout the process. But I just wanted to put that information out there.
No, I love that, but I want to take it a step further, not market, person. You want to really, and obviously you're not marketing to one person, so I don't want to make it sound oversimplified, but if you're marketing and you're thinking about a very specific person, maybe it's a busy mom that you think about, oh my gosh, all the time these moms are coming in here, and now with COVID, it's like so difficult. And if I could create a marketing message that I'm a mom too, and I absolutely get it, and I build my practice so that you as a mom can get the service you deserve and you need, and I totally get it. If a mom reads that, she's coming to you, period, end of story. So you really want to make sure that you're allowing your humanity to shine, because that is going to be different every single time. The world is trying to force people into this funnel. And if you create this attractiveness that they just naturally gravitate to, you won't have to really put effort into it. Right. And I think the most wonderful thing about our industry is that most of our competitors at this point are much bigger than us, and they're using these really dry messages. But you don't have to do that, because your differentiator is you. And people want to buy from people. So you really don't have to get too creative. Just be truthful, because you already are amazing.
Can you explain the benefits on Facebook, like the using of the Facebook platform?
Oh, definitely. So first of all, it's a low-cost marketing strategy. You know, you can put out content on a daily basis, bi-weekly basis. You know, it's up to you. It's very flexible. It gives you a lot of data, a lot of insights. You have to know how to use it. I don't know if we talked yet about social media posting platforms. I have a specific one that I use called Promo Republic. So if you want to use that during the challenge, you're more than happy to use it. One per person, obviously, because it's a limit, but it automatically tells you your analytics. It's a great way to engage with your customers. Market research is very expensive. You can actually do market research through your social media. So this is a great affordable way to market your business.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go to your next slide, which is how do you get connected?
Yeah, so sellsmartnothard.com is the best place for you to go and dig into the services that we offer. We do believe in a holistic approach, going back to another thing that Gina said that I absolutely agree with. You can have 6 different companies. If they're not philosophically aligned, like, trust me, the fact that Gina and I agree at this level is rare. Most businesses want to believe that social media is like, it's like this complex thing. It really isn't. So it is, but you've got to just be yourself and be tied, like really focused on the results so that you can learn and get your staff involved. Like Gina was saying before, I agree with that. Even if they're not going to be managing it for you, you're going to have a company, you want them to keep their finger on the pulse. I manage my customers' social media every day, and I say, hey, did you know someone was reaching out to you to make an appointment through your Facebook Messenger? You guys don't have any idea, you're busy. So you really do want someone professional that's manning all of the different channels that social media now presents for them to communicate with you. And if you want to learn more about that, we do offer a free audit, just because we feel like this is such a complex thing to wrangle. And we're very eye care focused. I'm an industry veteran, so there's a little bit of something there that gives me a little bit of an advantage from my clients, because I don't have to explain a lot of the stuff to me. I just know it because I've been doing this for so long, taking care of eye care professionals. But I'm more than happy to do an audit for anyone who's interested. I learn every time, and everybody I speak with, it's so funny. We'll do like, before we do anything, we'll do a hypothesis, like, what do you think you're going to find? And this way you can really, before you even dig in, come up with your own kind of idea of, okay, this way I think I'm going to find. And it's always shocking. I'll give you a perfect quick example. I had a doctor the other day, 17 years in business, $1 million practice. And I said, well, do you track analytics? And he goes, yeah, I've been doing it since I opened. Lo and behold, we went into the back end of his website. He didn't have analytics installed. And probably none of you do, I would imagine, because nobody really understands what this is. And this is horrible, because your website tells everything you need to know about your business. It'll tell you if you're succeeding. It'll tell you if you're failing, because most of your business interactions begin at your website. So if you see your traffic go up, you see it go sideways, you see it go down, you can instantly identify the trends long before it hits your wallet. So if there's a single person on this call that does not know if they have Google Analytics installed, please let me know. I will gladly install it for you. I will not charge you a penny, because the days of putting this stuff aside are over. It needs to be affordable, but you need to also realize you do get what you pay for. And a lot of times I want to address that, because there's companies out there selling social media for $50 and some selling them for $5,000. And you have to think about it. Everything includes time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to hosting that 30-day challenge, which I'm going to discuss a little bit further in this next few slides.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to let everybody know, as an optometrist, I have been sent by other members of the Chiasm some resources that are given by some vendors that I know we might not like as much, but they are free resources. So if you go to the VSP website, they have some downloads there that you could have maybe as fillers to your social media. They're generic content, but something's better than nothing in most cases, I should say. So you could check that out when you have some free time. Also, Esler, which Dr. Roth sent us, thank you, Dr. Roth, also has a reopening marketing kit. It's really geared to like everything that's going on with COVID. When I went to this website, the stuff that I really liked was they have kids activities. So when a child gets to the office, they could have eye-related coloring sheets or educational forms that you could either give it to them while they're waiting or hand it to them as a gift, with their first pair of glasses. There's some resources there explaining first pairs. There's also resources for if you're gonna do any virtual presentation or any in-school presentation to schools in the area. They have impact stories too, which is really nice because you could put that on your TV, showing patients talking about how they were impacted by a certain eye-related disorder or glasses or a contact lens experience. So that's something that people could relate to. So you don't have to get a video camera out if you can't. It's always better if you do. And that's something that I know that Gina does. They go to your office and they'll videotape you with your staff. More free resources.
I'm sorry, I wanted to interrupt really quick. I just wanted to say that I think that the chief difference between what Charlene offers and what I offer is that I focus on the content creation. And I think what I'm hearing from Charlene is that she does the analytics and tracking, if I'm right, and management. So just to make that differentiating, like we really focus, like we're creatives, we produce, we direct, and we go out there and like what we really love is to shoot video. So just
Right.
wanted to say that.
And that's, yeah, so video, I think video is very impactful. I try to videotape myself sometimes, and it's hard sometimes as a doctor, you know, or an optometrist or optician or a staff member to put themselves out there, but people relate the most to video. So I think that we ourselves rather see a video than read something. And I know that that's something powerful that your company really focuses on. Also, I wanted to bring up yourlens.com has some free resources. But there's also a very basic, but they have a free marketing course and online, this company, it's in Europe, but this marketing, they call it marketing, but I really don't think it was a marketing when I read it. It was pretty much how to market to patients within your practice, how your staff can pretty much redirect patients and educate patients to come back for their next year appointment, how to make sure that patient refers you another patient. So it was kind of just really marketing within your current patient. So it's a free resource. I wanted to provide that for the members. Also, I wanted to provide the Chiasm is a great tool to market yourself, because as an optometrist, you could put yourself on the directory for free. And by putting yourself on the directory for free with this code 150 forever, you could receive referrals from PCPs, pediatricians, and ophthalmologists. And what we do in our practice is we really make sure that when we have time, when it's a slow day, once a week, or I would say twice a month, I want to say, we call our pediatricians and our PCPs and we let them know, you know, if you're ever wondering what insurances we take, you could look on the directory and find us. We'll make sure that if you send us a patient through the Chiasm, we're going to make sure we track that patient for you. We make sure they get scheduled and that you're going to get information about that patient's visit, which PCPs and pediatricians love. So it's a great tool for you to really market yourself, but it's only that. A tool is only as much as you put into it. Other things that you could do on the Chiasm that we're providing benefits aside from being on the Chiasm, besides our monthly Zoom sessions that are geared towards pretty much your needs and your questions at that time, is building new connections with other optometrists and other ophthalmologists in the area. And as we grow, we'll expand to other specialties. The other thing that we're working on is, as we get active members using the platform, we're also going to be providing vendor discounts and vendor promos. And that's not going to be at any charge to everybody. It's just pretty much pulling together as a community. The other thing I wanted to let everybody know is that we're going to be doing a Zoom session. So we're going to be sending out an email where you could register. We're going to limit the amount of people that are able to participate in our 30-day challenge. And what it's going to be doing is giving you insight on how to setting up your Instagram and your social media Facebook page, pretty much choosing your brand. And we're just going to be coaching you a little bit, like today's Tuesday, today's Tip Tuesday, put on a tip. Now, this is just a kind of stepping into social media. While we're doing that, you could decide, okay, you know what, this is great. I'm getting some momentum. I want to do it myself, or a staff member is more than welcome to join the group. Or you might say, wow, this is working great, but this is a lot of work. I might need to bring in a company to do that. And that's where I went ahead and brought professionals. I'm an optometrist. I have a private practice and I want to grow. And I feel like social media is so powerful that I want to learn so that I could decide and bring that into my scope of practice, but also to my patients, that reach that I'm going to be providing. So I want to welcome everybody to participate in that. It's going to be great. It's going to be a way for us to share ideas. That's pretty much what I just spoke about. The other thing is I wanted to share some amazing posts from some optometrists in our group. Shannon Joseph, she's working. A lot of our optometrists are actually still working. They've texted me. And we're going to provide this video for everybody on our Chiasm page and our YouTube channel. And I'll probably link it to our newsletter so that anybody needs any information, they could get these resources. But Shannon Joseph, I wanted to bring her on here because every time I go onto my Facebook page, she's on my story, but it's such a pleasant video. It catches my attention. And she's done it so professionally that I wanted her to show us how she does it because she's not shy. And I love her for doing that, for putting herself out there. And I think we all need to kind of get out of our shells and do that, whether it might not be us, it might be our star optician or our office manager that might be able to be our social media face. Also,
or your patients.
Yeah, Dr.
User-generated content.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, I said user-generated content is huge right now. So you can have your patients, somebody showing off their new eyeglasses. Don't forget, they love to be the stars.
Oh, which you're gonna see the last year. So Edward Boschnick is Instagram like awesome. You could tell his nine grid, which we're gonna be talking about in the challenge, is really geared towards his brand, where you really see that he focuses on specialty contact lenses. He even writes a little bit of content there. You see his patients there on the chair, and he really explains and shares so much information that he really is a role model for other optometrists, but really does a great job in showcasing what he does in his specialty and his passion and his love for specialty contact lenses. So I never really go on Instagram, but I go just to see his Instagram. And the last one is the last post. I just saw it this morning and I didn't know how to put a video on my PowerPoint, but she was dancing with her patients. I mean, her patient, I'm sure, shared that with their family, and it just shows how down to earth she is as an optometrist. And I thought that was a great post. So I wanted to share that with everybody. So please make sure that if you haven't signed up for the Chiasm, that you do. And if you want to sign up for the 30-day challenge, just look out for the next email that's going to be coming out probably tomorrow or Friday. I'm going to open up the floor for any questions you guys might have about content or posting, platform questions. So please don't be shy. This is a small group, which is great for questions.
Johnny, I just wanted to add, you said marketing is a tool, or social media is a tool, and it's only as good as the amount of effort that you put behind it. And I think that that's a very important thing to remember in social media initiatives or in marketing initiatives. A lot of times these resources are brought to your attention. So you hire a professional, like Charlene mentioned, she does an audit. We do a digital media evaluation as well, or a digital presence evaluation. And it's great to have it, and to, whether you pay for it or whether you get it for free, but if it's not implemented, then, is it the marketing that's not working, or is it that the tool wasn't properly used? And so I think that it's important to know that. And I think that was my first slide, that it said content marketing is a commitment, not a campaign. And I think that's true of marketing as a whole. It's a commitment. If you're committing to marketing, whether it's doing the 30-day challenge, whether it's hiring a professional, whether it's asking for a business audit, you're committing to making sure that you're going to see that through, and that you're going to evaluate your business in a way that you perhaps are not seeing it. And that's why, like Charlene's eyes on it, my eyes on it, whoever it is that you're employing or contracting to do this kind of work, it can't just sit there on a desk. It has to be implemented. And it's a commitment to say social media does not work one post a week. It has to be something where when you have a strategy, somebody needs to be dedicating those 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day to making sure that post gets up there, that those customers are being connected with and DM'd, and followed up with. And that's important to know as a boss, because sometimes you know that when you see your employee on your phone, well, if that's your social media employee, or if that's your content curator in office, to say, okay, you know, your 15-minute coffee break is dedicated to content, and knowing that that person's going to do that. And then also, or having like a dedicated tool in office, that's the one that's like appropriated for content curation, whether it's for user generated content, whether it's for one of my patients, we're trying out like a red carpet, where when the patients get their glasses, they have like a red carpet photo friendly type of environment where they take selfies and they're posting that and then tagging the appropriate optician's office, and having that idea. But if you're not applying it, and you're not telling, and your employees aren't telling your customers, hey, look, you know, when you want to take a picture and get a free lollipop, or, you know, it's definitely a comprehensive, not only in what we provide, but in also the office's initiative. You know, like it has to be a team effort.
Does everybody that's on this call have are they using social media? Does everybody have a social media present? I'm just curious if you could just put yes or no in the chat feature.
Well, and Gianni, while you're collecting questions, I just want to go back to what Gina had said, differentiating us. Content marketing, especially heavy front-end content marketing, is absolutely top of funnel marketing. And so I do top of funnel marketing, but SellSmart is more useful in creating automation of your funnel. So we use that top of funnel marketing, whether you're generating it or a professional's generating it, and we try to create it into a sequence that brings them from that piece of content to your door. We are partners with HubSpot. I just had a conversation with them today about my influence in the optical industry. They're going to be getting behind me in a very big way. And the newsletters they do are beyond anything you've ever seen before. So I could probably get a free HubSpot account for anyone who's interested and help them to craft a newsletter template. So if that's something you think would be beneficial during the challenge, I'd be happy to provide that for you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I want to go ahead and just wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for participating. I look forward for everybody that participated to sign up for our 30-day challenge. I'm really excited about forming that community, mainly because, oh, and I see Lynette has a question, but mainly because I myself have had a hard time kind of like getting out there and making it like a routine. And I think that's where we need to get, making social media, newsletters, part of our practice and a routine, whether we do it with a staff member or we do it with someone else or we do it together. Lynette, go ahead. What questions do you have? I see that. You could unmute yourself if you want to just ask. There's an unmute button, or you can just.
Sorry. Yeah, I thought it was space, but it wasn't working. So we have Wix that we have been using the analytics on that, and I feel like they have somewhat helpful guidelines to do like the Google search spiders or SEOs, whatever they're called. So they kind of like guide you through those kind of things. Have you had experience with Wix? Do you feel like it's a good starter tool? Again, we bought our practice about 6 months ago, so it's very new to all.
So why did you ask that question? Because I see this.
Oh, she
First of all, in other groups, not just in the optometry groups, I'm in women's entrepreneur groups, and this is a big debate right now, Wix or WordPress, or whatever. So I'll just keep it super simple. If you're building the website yourself, Wix is a great idea because you're never going to be able to figure out WordPress. But just understand that whatever you're building on Wix is not sustainable long term, because someday you're not going to be happy with it. It isn't really built to scale, and you're going to have to recreate it all over again. So if you have content on your site that Google has kind of made visible, and you're now rebuilding your website on WordPress 10 years later, it's going to cause you an issue down the line. The other thing is Google owns the internet. Like everybody has to play by Google's rules. And there's platforms they like and platforms they don't like for a lot of reasons, but the number one is speed. So Wix is the worst thing, I believe, you could do for your business. We actually provide a do-it-yourself platform we don't love, but if somebody really just doesn't want to invest in a website, we rather give them a tool to build it efficiently and on a fast, stable platform. Still going to be temporary, still not, ability rather than Wix, because we believe very strongly Wix, Weebly, Square. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Squarespace, they're just not the best place to build your website if you're looking for a long-term solution.
I have a quick question for you, Lynette. How do you use your website? Or do you have an online store?
No, we don't have an online store. And we kind of inherited it as well. It was kind of already there. So we updated the content with us. And we also have a page that is dedicated to our Instagram so that it can actually like upload our Instagram posts as well as a blog version of it, I suppose. But that's the stuff I just don't know if it's really working, if it's not, if I'm doing it right, or.
So it goes back to what I had mentioned about like a true commitment. I am not a huge believer in the website being that integral to your business. I think that your customers go where you send them. And, having been in small business for a long time, if you don't have an online store, then I wouldn't worry too much about your website right now. I would worry more about how it is that you're going to reach your customers when they leave, to either upsell them on products or to generate reviews. Google reviews is something that I believe very firmly in because it generates that Google AdSense and that searchability. So if your website is not that strong, like Charlene had said, I like Wix, I like Weebly because it's very easy and very user-friendly and cheap. But then you have to focus that attention and that effort someplace else. And so where I lead my customers is to reputation management and the idea of following up on your reviews. So one customer right now that I have uses SMS tools, which is a text program where once a client leaves, they get a text version that says, hey, would you mind reviewing this on Google? And so then you're still having a touch point with that customer. They opted into that text option, so you have their permission to do so. And then you're giving them the opportunity to give you something in return, which is that review. Right now, landing pages are really hot, which makes the static web page really obsolete. If you have a campaign that's really strong, you could take them through SMS or you could take them through a social media challenge to that landing page. And then the landing page is just as long as the initiative is. So the traditional website is really getting reconfigured in terms of what their practice is and what you need it for. That same client of mine has an online store. Their website is important. They can't do it on Squarespace or Wix, even though they have those features to add on, which make it really easy, because then they're losing their entire database the moment that they're unhappy with Wix or Weebly or Squarespace. But if you don't have that, then I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. You want to have, I don't even have a website just to prove my point. I have a Google landing page for Journey Media because all my sales come from the opportunities to meet with clients directly and referral based. And so the moment that I get them, I could send them projects and works directly without it just living on a website. So the main question is, what does the website need to do for you? And then you decide how much money or effort you need to put into it.
I was going to say Google reviews. Oh, sorry. I think, Charlene, you're coming in and out. Your service is not that good. So when you
okay.
But I was going to say with Google reviews, and I just want to use this as a closing point. I know that we couldn't talk about Google reviews, like really, but Google reviews are huge, 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 huge. I mean, we do the text in my office, but aside, like we do also competitions for the staff. And we just ask patients when they're at the office and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Can I tip you? Or sometimes we just say, you know what the best compliment is? A Google review. And that really pulls up your website higher and higher when someone just puts Optometrist Miami, because it's something that's real versus you paying for an SEO to go up. I'm not saying that SEO paying for that doesn't work, but if you're on a budget, just asking a patient for a Google review works. And you know, sometimes you might feel shy, but after a while you just do it very naturally. It works great, and you know who you can ask. You know, a patient that brought you the whole family and the kids were running around and they were like, you are amazing. You're like, how amazing am I? Can you write a Google review? Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And you,
I just have to add really quickly. I did a campaign, a Google review campaign, where after I did digital presence audit for a surgeon, and we saw that his reviews were at 3.2 stars, which was terrible. And we were able to bring them up to 4.9 stars organically just by having his in-staff employees reach out to happy customers and reminding them, because it's also psychologically based, right? You're more likely to give a bad review than you are a good review. And so it was just reaching out to those organically happy clients and patients and saying, hey, you know, like, we really need your help, and incentivizing staff, you know, saying at the end of the week, we're going to have a pizza party if we get 100 5-star reviews, you know.
And
You might
Tiani,
get flagged, and
I
that's
want
part
to,
of what I do, is that I make sure that the way that they're being submitted in the review process, they're not flagged and lost. But Google reviews is huge, and it's just another way to kind of like segue that Google owns everything kind of idea.
Shirley, you were saying?
yeah, I just want to leave on this point because I can't believe I forgot to mention this. And going back to, I forgot the doctor's name that was talking about Wix. Regardless of your website, Google My Business is 100% more valuable than your website, because they have this thing when you type in your name called the map pack, and Google gives that real estate to local businesses. So today, right now, you need to type in "I Doctor Tampa" wherever you are, and look at that map pack and look at where you rank. And if you don't have a Google My Business listing, it's free. And that's where your Google reviews will live once you get it set up. You have to pay attention to Google My Business. That's probably the most important thing I can impart, because it's free and it's something that you can do for your own business that is probably going to be more beneficial and faster than anything else that we've shared today.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a great tip. I think that that's awesome. One of the first things you should do when you go into private practice, and that you need to maintain on top of everything else we need to do. But it is important. And like you said, it's free. So why not? So if anybody else has any questions, okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for being part of this, this Zoom session. The next Zoom session is probably going to be an optometry mixer case review. So go ahead and make sure you check your email from info@the-chiasm, and make sure to like our page on Facebook. We definitely have a social media presence there through the Chiasm. And that's pretty much it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a
Bye.
great day.